Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be continuing on reading through each Logion in the Lost Gospel of Thomas, written by Theodore J. Nottingham. And in our previous video, I noticed and also shared with you guys that the Logions do not go in order, and I wondered why. So upon looking into it further, it's just the way that they were written. This is exactly the order that they were in when they were found, as far as the way that they were written. Now, they did all separate from one another and then were put back together. So I do not know if the Logions were literally titled Logion 1, Logion 2, but that's kind of the explanation that I got, is that these were made obviously before the Bible was written. And so with that being said, they're not laid out in an order the way that the Bible is, as far as the scripture goes, as far as going from in a numerical order. And I wasn't expecting that. I was literally expecting Logion 1 through Logion 114 in that order, and that's not how it is. So that's okay. It doesn't change what we're reading. It's just that it's not going to be titled Logions 1 through 3. It's just kind of skips around. So we left off at reading Logion 28, and in this case we're going to Logion 28, and then after that Logion 38. So I will read as many as I can, and we'll try to keep it around the 20-minute mark. Logion 29. Jesus said, "If the flesh came into being because of spirit, it is a wonder. But if spirit came into being because of the body, it is a wonder of wonders. Indeed, I am amazed at how this great wealth has made its home in this poverty. To allow holy awe and wonder to emerge is to experience, to some degree, something of the presence of God in that very moment. The greater the intensity of awe and wonder, the more one enters and is entered by the living presence. Life and nature herself is a gate into the divine presence through which you may pass any time you wish. All you must do is allow yourself to be amazed. To speak of faith in God is something more than merely believing in the existence of God. Rather, it is belief with understanding in the evermore you can be in the Spirit of God, the ever becoming of yourself and the whole of creation. It is faith and hope in the infinite and exhaustless divine potential." Logion 38. Jesus said, "Many times have you desired to hear these words which I am saying to you, and you have no one else to hear them from. There will be days when you look for me and will not find me." According to the Manichaean Psalms, the Savior transmitted this Logion so that the 11 disciples would recognize later that it was the Christ who was calling them. Mary Magdalene would also evoke these words from Yeshua. "Remember what I revealed of myself to you on the Mount of Olives. I have something to say, and no one to say it to." The Logion continues with Yeshua speaking of the day when they will seek but not find him. But why seek the Christ, the living one, among the dead? The right moment is now. Every day is the day of salvation, and every instant the time of encounter. Logion 39. Jesus said, "The Pharisees and the scribes have taken the keys of knowledge, or gnosis, and hidden them. They themselves have not entered, nor have they allowed to enter those who wish to. You, however, be as wise as serpents and as innocent as doves." The knowledge communicated by sacred texts is one of attention and simplicity, as indicated by the following words of this Logion. "Be as alert as the serpent and as simple as the dove." A Gnostic is not a person with any special knowledge, but rather a simple human being with a clear and open heart and no self-concern or self-importance. Someone who is attentive to what is in front of him or her. The gnosis taught by Yeshua is one that develops a meditative attitude toward what is. an attitude that is non-dualist, non-rationalizing, and free of projection and judgment. Gnosis is simply seeing things as they are, and again, that's Gnosis. There is a remarkable beauty in Yeshua's image of serpent and dove. The serpent crawls upon the earth while the dove flies in the sky. Thus, we are told to ground ourselves on earth without losing touch with our thrust upward into the skies. To hold both these animal qualities is to realize the union of opposites of earth and heaven. Logion 42. Jesus said, "Become passers-by." One who knows him or herself a traveler passing through the world and the experience of this life cannot be bound by the dominion of cosmic forces that rules over this world when the time comes to pass out of this world. Knowing oneself as a traveler, a soul of light coming from the source of light and life, one is free to ascend and pass beyond. Yet anyone attached to this world and the name and form assumed in this life is not free to pass beyond. To be a passerby is also to be moving toward the other shore, from the shadows to the light, from this world to the Father, as Yeshua taught. To move from what is always passing to what does not pass. To awaken to the life beyond birth and death, resurrected upon the other shore of ourselves. People said of St. Bernard that he had a very alert look, the appearance of someone who is constantly traveling, as if always on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Passerby see all things for the first and last time. They never look back, and they savor each instant as the very place of passage of the eternal now. Logion 50. Jesus said, "If they say to you, 'Where did you come from?' say to them, 'We came from the light,' the place where the light came into being on its own accord and established itself and became manifest through their image. If they say to you, 'Is it you?' say, 'We are its children. We are the elect of the living Father.' If they ask you, 'What is the sign of your Father in you?' say to them, 'It is movement and repose.'" The ancient triple question, "Where do I come from? Where am I going? Who am I?" finds an unequivocal response in this logion. You come from the light. You are going toward the light. You are the light. This is the reality of the living Son in us, who abides in the very heart of changing appearances. The sign of our link with this luminous reality is movement and repose. This is a union of opposites, the resolution of the seeming contradiction between action and contemplation, calmness within action and vitality within repose. Logion 58. Jesus said, "Blessed is the man who has suffered and found life." If you must endure sorrow and suffering, then let it not be without purpose and meaning. Seek to draw from it the blessings that may be found in it, so that when the period of sorrow or suffering has passed, you will have the good from it. When you meet the challenges of life in this way, you will naturally be blessed, and your faith will grow stronger, and your soul more refined. You will find life. St. James has written, "Whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it joy, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let your endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing." Sorry, I feel like my hair kind of went a little flat there. Yes, indeed, be joyful in the face of trials and tribulations, and sorrow and suffering will be transformed. In other words, don't let it be for nothing. When met in this way, every challenge of life is an opportunity for growth and development of the soul and spiritual evolution toward Christ consciousness. When you open your heart, making room for everyone and everything and for the Lord, suffering is decreased and passes more swiftly. This is simple wisdom of life experience. Logion 59. Jesus said, "Take heed of the living one while you are alive, lest you die and seek to see him and be unable to do so. What more need be said?" Logion 61. Jesus said, "Two will rest on a bed, the one will die and the other will live." Salome said, "Who are you, man, that you have come up on my couch and eaten from my table?" Jesus said to her, "I am he who exists from the undivided. I was given some of the things of my Father. I come from the one who is openness." Rilke once said that openness is the least blasphemous name for God. It is the name that is the least defining and qualifying. Openness is the infinite space within the very heart of space, containing all and contained by nothing. The whole process of human transformation is one of opening all levels: the physical, release of stress; the psychic, unraveling the knots of memory; and the spiritual, allowing love, light, and forgiveness to live and radiate in us. The goal of this transformation is to dwell in openness, where the body is open to the energies of the cosmos. The heart is open to a deep compassion, and the mind is as clear as a mirror, serenely reflecting the multitude of appearances. A totally open human being is not formless, but is instead capable of allowing the One to manifest, and that is one with a capital O. The unity of all things then becomes manifest in and through that human form. As long as there is any fear, constriction, closure, division of the heart, or dualism, the light cannot enter. We can close the shutters on all the windows of the house, which is so much worse for the air inside, yet the sun goes on shining. Logion 65. He said, "There was a good man who owned a vineyard. He leased it to tenant farmers so that they might work it, and he might collect the produce from them. He sent his servants so that the tenants might give him the produce of the vineyard. They seized his servant and beat him, all but killing him. The servant went back and told his master. The master said, perhaps he did not recognize them. He sent another servant. The tenants beat this one as well. Then the owner sent his son and said, perhaps they will show respect to my son. Because the tenants knew that it was he who was the heir to the vineyard, they seized him and killed him. Let him who has ears hear." The standard interpretation of this well-known parable is that God has planted his vine in this world in the form of his servants, the sages and prophets, but people refuse to respect them or listen to their message. But in addition to his servants, he sends his son, a Holy One who incarnates the presence, image, and likeness of the Father in the heart of this space-time. The drama of the killing of the Son is the killing of the Christ in ourselves. It is the same madness, the same murder, stifling the likeness of God or love in ourselves. Logion 68. Jesus said, "Blessed are you when you are hated and persecuted. Wherever you have been persecuted, they will find no place." In every human being, there is a place that hatred and persecution can never reach. The self, and that's with a capital S. The uncreated being beyond the identification of I as suffering victim, I the person. This is the space of inalienable freedom that empowers us to say with Christ, "My life cannot be taken, for I have already given it." Or the famous words, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Blame and persecution may even be considered beatitudes, inasmuch as they awaken in us an authentic love for our enemies, putting us in touch with that freedom which no circumstance can ever affect. Logion 69. Jesus said, "Blessed are they who have been persecuted within themselves. It is they who have truly come to know the Father." He is speaking of an inward conscious struggle for growth and refinement of oneself on moral and spiritual levels, in evolution of the psychic and spiritual dimensions of oneself, according to the truth and light revealed in one's own experience. During periods of our early development on the path, our conscience is very likely to persecute us, convicting us of our ignorance and missing the mark, so that we are not satisfied to remain in darkness, but are compelled to seek the light. The persecution of which the Master is speaking is akin to the dark nights of the soul, of which St. John of the Cross wrote. Only those willing to pass through ordeals of spiritual growth and advancement will come to a full and conscious unity with the Lord and know the most intimate communion in the Spirit of the Lord. Logions 77. Jesus said, "It is I who am the light which is above them all. It is I who am the all. From me did the all come forth, and unto me did the all extend. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." When Yeshua says, "I am the all," he refers to the fact that he manifests himself the integration of all polarities and opposites. He incarnates the union of the human and the divine, the finite and the infinite, time and eternity. For a disciple of Jesus, work is not a danger, a burden, nor a hardship, but the very presence of the Lord. "You will find me when you break up stones, and I am there while you split the wood." In Matthew 18:20, Jesus promises to come to those who pray in his name. Here he promises to come to those who do hard work in his name. In contrast to this, a metaphysical interpretation of the Logion is that all things participate in the very essence of being, according to their mode and degree. I tend to favor that. I tend to believe that that saying was his way of saying that the Creator is everywhere. You don't have to go to a building with a bunch of statues and a priest and other people necessarily praying and rejoicing in a certain way. That wherever you look, you will find him. Logion 82. We'll probably make this our last one. Jesus said, "He who is near me is near the fire, and he who is far from me is far from the kingdom." To pass through the holy gate of the kingdom of heaven, you cannot be lukewarm, but must be hot, on fire with the indwelling Spirit, filled with divine passion. No one knows the presence of the Lord and the Lord himself who is not passionate for the holy Shekinah as he himself was passionate. And I'll spell that for you. It's capital SHEKINAH. Shekinah. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Such holy passion burns oneself utterly away, and there is only the beloved. At the same time, holy passion itself is transforming and illuminating, and is itself the divine life. For what passion comes is the passion of the inner self or Christ self, a new and divine consciousness and being filled with light and life. I think we can round it out with Logion 89. Jesus said, "Why do you wash the outside of the cup? Do you not realize that he who made the inside is the same one who made the outside?" A radical change in consciousness is necessary to enter into Christ consciousness. In truth, Christ consciousness is something more than a change of mental concepts and emotions and the like. It is a transcendence of the mental and vital being altogether. The transformation of the mental, vital, and even physical consciousness through the divine power that comes with self-realization to Christ. One must actually be reborn and transfigured by the supernal force that comes from above. This is yet another way in which Yeshua invites us to realize the non-duality of being and appearance, inner and outer. To abandon duplicity and hypocrisy is to rediscover transparency. It is also to discover that the same one, capital O, is both inside and outside. The space inside the cup is the same space that contains the universe. One moment of true silence, and we are in the heart of that silence from which all creative words arise. Okay, we will go ahead and stop right there. And if this piques your interest, a deeper look into the words of Jesus, a deeper look into maybe what may not be in the Bible, this is a really great start. But if you're looking to go deeper, I would say read or listen to Jesus Christ, the Christ Letters, the Truth. I did read that. It is on my playlist. To me, I consider that my Bible. I've read it several times, and every time I learn something from it. It is meant to be read several times and referred to often. So I did read that if you're interested after listening to this one or even now. So it's a really, really eye-opening book. I hate to even call it a book because it's so much beyond that, but you have to go towards it and read it with an open mind, an open heart, an open soul, almost as if you are a child who has not been indoctrinated with dogmas, decrees, and all of the rules that man has placed on religion and has interpreted for themselves from Holy Scripture and gospel. Because at the end of the day, many of the leaders of the churches will read a gospel and then interpret it how they see fit, but it may not necessarily be what the congregation needs to hear or where they may be at spiritually. So Jesus shares so much information, and what you need to do if you decide to listen to that or read it is decide if what you are hearing and reading is indeed from Jesus. That's up to you to decide. But either way, if you are seeking more, it's a really fantastic, life-changing book to read. So anyways, next time in our next video, we will start with Logion 92. We were just in the 30s, 40s, and 60s. So as I said, there's no rhyme or reason. I think they're giving it to us exactly as they received it. And what can you do? Thank you all so very much for joining me. I love you all very much. And until I see you again, take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Bye-bye until next time.